Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV. Welcome to this preview for the Wolves game on Sunday at the Etihad Stadium. So what we've done is invited Dave from Talking Wolves onto the channel, and what we do as usual is we ask each other some questions. What I've done is I've sent some questions to Dave. He's going to answer those, and he sent some questions to me. So what I'm going to let you do now is see Dave and let him introduce himself. He'll answer some questions. I'll come back and answer some questions. Then we'll be back to Dave and then back to me, and we'll finish off. So anyway, here's Dave.
Hi guys, my name is Dave. I'm from Talking Wolves, and I'm going to be answering the questions that the guys at Man City Fan TV have given me ahead of our clash at the Etihad Stadium on Sunday. So here are my answers. So question one, what are my thoughts on Wolves' slow start to the season and why? Now, it's been a little bit annoying, the slow start, to be honest, because, of course, Wolves finished the season on such a high last year, managing to finish in 7th place. And, of course, Man City helping us out to beat Watford in the FA Cup final. So we got European football. But it has been a slow start. And I've always said to myself, I hate to use the excuse about European football. But it has become clear and evident especially after the first couple of weeks of the season, that the way we were playing was quite sluggish, it was quite slow, and it was because we were tired, and we were having all these Sunday, Thursday games, Thursday, Sunday, and we started the season a lot earlier at a competitive level to everyone else, playing in Belfast first, then Armenia, which was obviously a bit of a trek, and then of course playing against Torino, who are a really good team. But yeah, it's slowly but surely. We've picked up our first win of the season last week against Watford. We've jumped up the table, got a decent result against Crystal Palace as well, and then obviously gone to beat Besiktas too. So the momentum slowly but surely is getting there. But yeah, it has been a little bit frustrating to have a slow start to the season. So where do I think Wolves can finish this season? Is question two. It's going to be interesting. Of course, we've jumped up the table right now, but I think it's key for us in the Premier League just to get a little bit of momentum going. I'm not expecting us to continue to win every single game. That's never going to be the case. And of course, last season we did so well against the guys in the top 6 and tended to struggle against the lower teams. I think this season we've really got to change our fortunes and start getting results against the teams in and around us. And obviously that puts a lot less pressure on us against the top 6. I think a successful season for Wolves would be to have a great run in Europe. I'm pretty confident we can get out of our group, and to get anywhere from the second knockout round onwards would be superb and a success for me as a Wolves fan. In terms of the Premier League, top half finish would be great as well. After a bit of a shaky start, and after having these such a tight schedule and busy schedule, I think if we can get a top half finish and a great run in Europe, that would for me be a good success of a season.
Okay, so Dave's first question to me was thoughts on City's season so far. So I think, Dave, honestly, I'll be honest, I think we've had a good season so far. We're all right. We're 5 points behind Liverpool at this moment in time. But we have to look at those games in isolation. The first, we dropped points against Spurs when really we should have got the 3 points. There was the controversial issue with VAR, which should have been a goal. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ruining the game, in my opinion. Because there's just so many inconsistencies in there. Referees are just scared to make a decision. And then obviously there was the defeat to Norwich City. I thought Norwich played really, really well on the day. And apart from 2 really poor errors from us at the back, we should really have come away from that game, in all honesty, with at least a point, possibly the 3. But apart from that, I think we've played really well. We've seen demolition of teams. We've seen City playing back to their usual brilliant best overall. We've had some injuries over this season so far. You've got to remember that. And, we coped with it last season, but this season again, we've got the likes of Leroy Sané going down. He's been out, or is going to be out for 6 months. Aymeric Laporte, who was absolutely fantastic last season, world-class defender. Anyone would miss the likes of Virgil van Dijk, but we miss Aymeric Laporte. So, he's going to be a big miss. But we've got other players to come in. We're now missing John Stones for a few weeks. He should be back after the international break. Kevin De Bruyne has now had a bit of a strain after the Everton game. He's missing for this weekend, and he'll be back after the international break. So we're dealing with 4 or 5 players that have 2 out for long term, 2 are going to be out for a couple of games. But we're Man City, we've got a big squad. We've invested heavily in the squad for that particular reason. Hence why, over the last 2 seasons, we've broke records left, right and centre. So we can't complain about it. What it does do is give opportunities to other players to step up. We've got the likes of Taylor Harwood-Bellis, young 17-year-old England international who we've seen in the cup competition's been absolutely brilliant. Eric Garcia, a Barcelona youth academy player, has been around the squad now for the last few years, and is now training with the first team squad. Another exceptional talent. But we've moved Fernandinho into the centre-back role. I think it's been a great move by Pep Guardiola. We've seen what he's done with the likes of Mascherano, certainly at Barcelona, and then what he's done at Bayern with the fact of moving Kimmich around. So he finds positions for these players. He knows what he's doing. We have to trust him. We're 5 points behind Liverpool. Am I worried about 5 points? No, not at all. Not at this stage of the season. Last season, 7 points behind. Look at the run that we went on. And I don't think other teams in the Premier League have got an in-depth squad that would cope anywhere near to the level that we will cope with those particular players being out for such long-term injuries. So, I think it's been a good start. We've been a little bit unlucky. We've been a bit sloppy in that Norwich game. But apart from that, can't ask for much more out of the boys. They've been absolutely exceptional and playing brilliant football as usual.
So question 3 is who's been a disappointment for Wolves and who stood out? Well, we'll start with a positive. Stood out players is simply Adama Traore. He has been fantastic for Wolves this season. A player that we signed for £18 million last year, the start of last season. And it's taken him almost 12 months just to hit the ground running, really, and just knuckle down. And it's taken him a season to bed in at the club. Last year, we didn't really have a formation that fit him as a player, and it was almost as if the club were trying to shoehorn him in a certain position just to almost make it, try and get them, making money well spent almost. But this year he's had a better run. He started a right wing back in a number of games this year, especially in pre-season in the Asia Trophy tour. He played right wing back against you boys in that Asia Trophy final. But this we've recently changed formation the last couple of weeks, and he's been playing a right wing, and he's so threatening against opposition teams. His pace, he's arguably, if not the quickest player in the Premier League. So he's one that's really stood out for me, and just in terms of how much he's improved as well. Disappointments for me, there's no one really that's been dreadful for Wolves, but I think our lack of goals is a little bit of a disappointment on a team level. But we've got to pinpoint players. I think it's either Leander Dendoncker or Ruben Neves, 2 of our central midfielders. As I say, by no stretch of the imagination have they been bad, but they probably should be performing a little bit better, in my opinion, for the standards that Wolves set for themselves last season.
Dave's next question to me was about City's biggest threats on Sunday. I don't mean to sound arrogant, but I mean, it's like, where do you start? And we saw midweek, Raheem Sterling was dropped from the Dinamo Zagreb Champions League game, comes on, suddenly, right towards the end of the game, suddenly changes the game with his pace and the way that he goes at players and commits players. So absolutely brilliant. This season, Riyad Mahrez has really, really stepped up. He's had a year under Pep Guardiola now, and this season we've seen the benefits of that. Been exceptional. And so he is another player that on his day, we've seen him before, where he can pop up with a goal and a few assists as well. We've got the obvious. We've got Bernardo Silva, who was our player of the season last season. He's not been at his best form for the last couple of games, maybe due to the FA charge over the Benjamin Mendy tweet. But if Pep can put an arm around him, get him back to where he was, wonderful, wonderful player. We've got obviously David Silva, who just dictates the game. He's you know what, we thought that as City fans, we thought maybe this season, his last season at Man City before he moves on, maybe retires or goes back to Las Palmas. We thought maybe he'll be in and out of the team. He's as good as ever. He's absolutely amazing. So David Silva is another very important player for City. But the one player I think on Sunday who is due a hat-trick, and that is Sergio Aguero. The guy is an absolute legend. And for me, he's just at the moment, he's just missing by inches. And I think Sunday might be his day when everything goes in. So for me, watch out for Sergio Aguero.
So a little bit about Manchester City now. Do I feel Man City get treated differently by the FA and UEFA regarding obviously the Bernardo incident? I don't know. It is quite a difficult one to say, but I think teams always are very, especially the bigger teams. I think City, in my opinion, Liverpool get away with a lot more things than most other clubs would. But in general, I think a lot of the teams, even as a Wolves fan, I'm always going to remember the things a lot more that go against my team rather than for my team. So say for argument's sake, when Nuno ran on the pitch last year, I think everyone was expecting a touchline ban, but that we didn't. I think the FA were quite fair for that, and we would forget that. But in terms, I think the Bernardo thing is ridiculous. If I'm being honest, it really, really is stupid. I think that's very, very harsh on the FA. The whole Bernardo thing, but and VAR as well. Wolves have had their fair share of incidents that have gone against us, but of course we'll always remember them a lot higher than the things that do go for us. So I think it happens with every team, to be honest. But in particular, the Bernardo situation for me, obviously such a great player. Of course, he probably shouldn't have tweeted what he tweeted, but it was clear to see that it was a joke between friends. And that the FA have punished him that hard and that harshly, in my opinion, is ridiculous.
And Dave's question to me was about Wolves players, and is anybody I'm worried about? Yeah, I mean, we saw what Wolves did last season. Wolves were absolutely brilliant. Nuno Espirito Santos has absolutely got them playing right at the top sort of echelons of attacking football, counter-attacking football with really, really inventive, creative players. You know, you've got Moutinho, you've got Ruben Neves. And for me, last season, the one player for me that stood out was Jota. Now, I know he's been in and out the team at the start of this season, but Jota for me is an exceptionally good player. He's quick, he's intelligent, very good on the ball, skillful. And I think if he can get in the team regularly again this season, get up to the level that he was last season, he's a very, very dangerous player. Really, really dangerous player. So, yeah, with Jimenez and Moutinho and Ruben Neves, and then you've got obviously Jota if he does play. You've got 4 or 5 players in your team that are exceptional. Very, very good players. It's just a shame this season they've not hit the heights of last. So I like watching Wolves. I like the way they play football. I really do. Very exciting to watch, and I think they play football in the right way. Just like Man City do. So it could be any of those, but Jota is the one that I think if he hits form, he's a dangerous player. So the final question to me was the score prediction. I think after you played on Thursday night and in the Europa League, long trip, and you've only got really 48 hours clear rest between sort of landing back in Birmingham Airport and then travelling up to the Etihad on Sunday. I think it's going to be difficult for you, certainly as the game progresses. You might have a real sort of 30 minutes of energy going at City, but I think as time goes on, City will just keep the ball, move you around. Even if you decide to sit back and try and hit us on the break, those players who are sitting back and move, that City will move you all over the place. And they'll just draw you out and play it across and play it back and then in behind. And I think eventually the legs will give way. I think the energy levels will give way with such, after playing on a Thursday night and then playing again in the afternoon on a Sunday. I can see City scoring 4. And I think Wolves might get one. So I'm going City 4, Wolves 1.
And finally, a score prediction for the game. Well, I think Manchester City are the strongest team in the league. I probably hope you guys go on to win the league as well, other than Wolves, if that ever does happen. But I think Man City are very strong, and they're probably going to be too strong for Wolves. I think Wolves are going to sit deep, really try and frustrate Manchester City, and Wolves are just going to hope to capitalise on that half chance we may well get during the game. But I predicted it on another page, so I'm going to say Manchester City 3, Wolves 1. So I do think you guys are going to get all 3 points on Sunday, but it's going to be an interesting game, and if Wolves can get anything out of the game, I will be delighted. But thanks a lot, guys, for having me on the channel, and I'm sure I'll speak to you all very soon.
So I want to say a massive, massive thank you to Dave from Talking Wolves. As you can see, Dave thinks it's going to be 3-1 I think it's going to be one more, and I'll go for 4-1. But as you can see, just to the side of me here, what we've got is my lineup for Sunday. And as you can see, I've got Edison in there, obviously. I think Kyle Walker will keep his place in as though he's not in the England squad. And I'm going to stick with Fernandinho and Otamendi this time. Otamendi on the left. The reason Pep said he played him on the right was because of a language compatibility with Joao Cancelo. But this time I think Fernandinho will play on the right, Otamendi on the left. And I'm going to stick with Benjamin Mendy. He needs some game time. Rodri in that holding position has been absolutely superb this season. And this is where it becomes a bit different now. Kevin De Bruyne is out. Who do we play? I know reading social media and obviously on the live vlog that we did on Friday evening, we had people claiming they should start Phil Foden. And maybe he will. Maybe he really will. But I'm going to actually stick with Bernardo Silva and David Silva playing ahead of Rodri. Bernardo Silva brings some legs, and some might say maybe he'll drop him, and he might do. But another said maybe he'll put an arm around him this week in training and say, look, put everything to the side. You're a professional footballer. Focus on the game, mate. You're a brilliant player, a lovely person. Just crack on with playing football. That's what you're best at doing. And I think Bernardo will start with David Silva. David Silva controls the pace of the game, rarely gives the ball away. And what we might see is Wolves holding back, defending deep. And David Silva finds those specific gaps. And I think certainly as the game progresses, when Wolves may tire, David Silva will find that killer pass. If we haven't found it early enough, he'll find that pass around the back. So I'm going with David Silva to captain the team with Bernardo Silva. Riyad Mahrez keeps his place. Absolutely no reason to drop him. I think he's been excellent this season. And on the left, Raheem Sterling comes back in this time instead of on the bench when he was against Zagreb. I think Sterling will create loads of problems. And I am sticking with Sergio Aguero up front. And he is my one player to watch this weekend. And I think, seeing as though he's been missing by inches, I think Sunday we may see a Sergio Aguero hat-trick. So for me, the main man to watch out for is Sergio Aguero. So this is Andy from Man City Fan TV. I hope you enjoyed that preview with Dave from Talking Wolves. I want to say a massive thank you to Dave for coming on. Don't forget, if you are a Wolves fan and you want to go over and check out Talking Wolves, go and find them on YouTube and social media. Also, if you're not a subscriber of Man City Fan TV, please make sure you subscribe. Hit that bell icon. We're nearly at the 10,000 subscribers. And comment below the video. What do you think of my team? Am I talking garbage? Or do you think the likes of Cancelo should start? Or Zinchenko should come in? Or should we drop David Silva for Phil Foden? Or should Gabby replace Sergio Aguero? But anyway, that's up to you. You can comment below the video. Don't forget, we'll be at the Etihad on Sunday. We'll be outside the Blue Moon Cafe at the back of the City store. Come over and have a chat. If you want to come on camera, you can do. If you don't, and you just want to say hello, you're more than welcome. But anyway, Sandy from Man City Fan TV. We'll see you soon.